Hi, gang. It's Adam.
And Patrick.
Coming up on today's episode, we chat about Disney topics in the premiere of our feature segment, Tea Party. As always, we cover the latest Disney news and close out the show with some quick D. All that and more on today's episode of Gays Do the D.
To all who come to this happy place, welcome.
Patrick, Tropical Punch Pozicki?
Mm-hmm. Is that my name?
That is your name now. Patrick, Tropical Punch Pozicki.
Everyone's going to think that that's my name now. That's fine. Adam Hibiscus Hummel.
I love a hibiscus scent. I love a hibiscus flavor and some tea. Is that what you're having right now? Hibiscus tea?
I wish if I had hibiscus tea, I'd be drinking that right now, but I am having some Earl Grey.
Classic tea, Patrick.
Thank you so much. I feel like if I was a drag queen, I might have to go with Girl Grey.
Girl Grey, I love it.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. How are you, sir?
Before I answer that, would you frequently teabag?
Daily, on the daily.
Okay, I just needed to know before I answered how I was doing.
Everyone needs to know that. I actually am a trash tea bagger in more than one way, but I keep my tea bag in my tea as long as I possibly can. I just drink it with the tea bag fully in there.
Okay. I'm processing that.
Yeah, you can take that however you need to.
Do you loop the tea bag around the cup handle?
Sometimes I do. If it's, once it starts getting lower in liquid, then I do loop it and I just let it drip down into it. I'm a weird tea drinker, you guys.
Gays do the tea.
Gays do the tea. That's our episode today, really.
Yeah, speaking of tea, hello.
Hello. Okay, back to how you are.
I'm doing quite well, Patrick. We should alert everyone, as our patrons know, that we are trying a new recording method.
We are, and we're going to try to talk over each other for the first time in a year, it feels like.
Yeah, it's been a long, long time. And I just want to apologize to our patrons for my total crap audio in that last Gays Do the D Raw and Uncut episode.
It sounded fine, actually. I mean, I sounded perfect, and you just sounded a little less than perfect.
No, it was like Barry White versus, I don't know, Sherry Lewis. I don't know why I chose Sherry Lewis, but I went there.
Sherry Lewis has a great voice, I'll have you know. And if I had $1 for every time someone compared my voice to Barry White's, I would not have any dollars at all.
I mean, where do the similarities end, really?
Right where they begin, which is nowhere.
All right. So anyway, I'm doing great. How are you doing?
I'm doing well as well. I'm excited about this new recording technique I'm going to say we've discovered it, Adam. We've discovered how to properly record. Now, we've been doing it like monsters for a whole year, and here we are. We're walking, finally.
Yeah, no one else has ever figured out to do it this way. And I guess you're welcome to the podcasting world.
You're welcome, everybody, unless something has gone horribly wrong and you're hearing us garbled again. In which case, you're still welcome. You're still getting an episode.
Yeah. Is it really that much worse than a regular episode?
Not really. Are you finding it difficult to hold back or to talk different? Do you know what I'm saying? Like, yes. I feel like
yes.
We are so used to pausing in between sentences that this feels a little bit unnatural right now.
Yeah, I don't feel the need to talk over you like I do in everyday life. So this is really, I mean, this past year has taught me anything. It's to take breaks in my thoughts and let other people talk. But now that we've landed on this recording method, you know what? It's no holds barred. I'm talking over you all the time.
Perfect. You and the rest of the world. You and the rest of the world.
Well, Patrick, we've entered a whole new month. It is March.
We are marching into March. Is it in like a lamb, out like a lion? Does that mean that March is going to be pretty gross going out?
That's what the lore says, yes.
I learned that in first grade.
That's right. And then you made lions and lambs out of paper plates, yeah?
Yes, and then put a popsicle stick on it, so it was like a paddle, a flip paddle, in like a lamb, out like a lion, or in like a lion, out like a lamb. Yes,
it's a very mild weekend here, so the fear is real that March will be going out like a lion.
That's right. Well, speaking of lions, Adam, we have to celebrate all of our fierce women out there because March is also Women's History Month.
Those lionesses.
That's right. All those Nalas out there.
Thank you, Nalas.
That needs to be a t-shirt for sure. Thank you, Nalas.
Thank you, Nalas, for everything you've done. Thank you for keeping the herd.
The pack, a lion pack, I think.
Lion pack fed. Thank you. The lionesses do all the work, right? I mean, the lions, the male lions, just kind of lay around and impregnate female lions. Isn't that their role?
Yep, that's it. That's all they do.
So really, there's no difference between humans and lions.
Not really.
I mean, there's some gender issues there in what I just brought up, but let's just gloss over that. Yes, Women's History Month. Thank you so much to all the women out there who are really leading the charge. I think everyone knows how Patrick and I feel about the ladies in our life and the ladies beyond our life, and really women should be running the world.
Yeah, I mean, if Beyonce was right about one thing, it's who runs the world? Girls.
That's right. Great political thinker Beyonce has a message for us all, and it's who runs the world. And the answer is, yes, it is girls.
It is ladies. We're actually going to celebrate a lady in our next episode, right? Well, hopefully. Anyways, if everything goes according to plan, we'll be watching Raya and the Last Dragon and reviewing that, a spoiler-free review.
Oh, so exciting. I can't wait to see that. The more I see from the trailers, the more exciting, the more action-y it looks. I can't wait.
Yeah, it looks amazing. Amazing.
Let's keep rolling with the recognitions, Patrick. We have a brand new Tweedle to recognize as well. A new Tweedle has joined the ranks.
I mean, are there people left in the world? I didn't even know. I thought everyone was already listening to us.
Great point. We thought everyone was a Tweedle, but no, there's a new Tweedle.
Tell everyone who our new Tweedle is, Adam.
Manny, who you can find on Instagram at Manny Anthony A. Manny sent us the nicest message, and so we need to thank him for that message and for tuning into the podcast each week.
Thank you, Manny. I love knowing that we do still have a reach out there, that people are still discovering us. It makes us feel like we have a journey ahead of us still, which is great.
Manny said he dared tread the path that few have tread, Patrick. He went back to episode 1.
Ooh, brave. Brave choice, Manny.
He is, in fact, a brave soul. So, Manny, welcome aboard. We're happy to have you. We hope to continue to have you as a listener for a long time to come.
Thank you so much, Manny. Moving on, Adam, we have a little bit of an announcement to make for next Saturday, March 6th. Ben and I, Ben from Once Upon a Scream, are going to be doing a Instagram live watch party of the 1997 musical Cinderella with Brandy and Whitney Houston. They're in the film. They're not going to be doing the watch party with us. That would be weird.
That would be weird, and quite frankly, creepy. I mean, you'd be bringing Whitney back.
I mean, that's what the world really does want, though, right?
You'd be doing the world a favor bringing Whitney back.
Yeah, we would be, but we're probably not going to do that. But we are going to watch Cinderella together on Instagram Live, so everyone should tune in. You should follow GDTD Podcast, and you should follow Upon a Scream. That's at Upon a Scream. Then click on either one of our accounts on Saturday, March 6th, while we will be watching Cinderella. Chat with us. Have a ball, you know?
Will there be snacks? Will there be punch and pie?
There will be punch, there will be pie, there will be snacks, there will be tea, tiaras maybe, who can say?
Please wear tiaras.
I might have to bust out some Mickey ears. I have some sort of blue, Cinderella-ish blue Mickey ears. I might bust those out.
I hope you do.
Thank you so much. And we should say, actually, Adam, today on our recording day, Saturday, is Ben's birthday. So happy birthday, Ben.
Happy birthday, Ben. There's no better way for Ben to celebrate than to watch Cinderella 1 week later with you.
I mean, it feels like the perfect day.
It's the only way to celebrate.
Exactly.
Happy birthday, Ben. You are our podcasting sister from across the pond. I wonder how Ben feels about your tea drinking habits. Does he leave the bag in?
He's not much of a tea drinker, from what I understand. Mikey drinks tea. I know too much about their tea habits. Mikey does drink tea, but a weak tea.
Okay. Isn't weak tea just water?
It's basically, he's like, just show it the tea bag, and then I'll drink it.
Yeah. All right, Patrick, well, we just mentioned Raya and the Last Dragon coming out next week. But last week, we were treated, finally, Patrick, finally, the clouds parted, the skies opened up, the sun shone down, and we were treated to the first trailer for Pixar's Luca coming out on June 18th, 2021.
So exciting, so beautiful.
So beautiful. Looks like it's going to be a charming summer romp with magical elements. And listen, the Italian Riviera, I'm for it, Patrick. Are you for the Italian Riviera?
Nah, I'm okay on it. No, of course I'm for it. It's absolutely beautiful. It looks like a very different style they're going with this time, which I'm into. I'm into Pixar's journey right now of just kind of experimenting with looks and feels and sounds. So this looks like it's going to be a very different movie for Pixar.
That's an excellent point. You know, when they started out, everything kind of looked the same because they were still developing the science behind it, right? But now as the science has progressed, they have discovered all these different textures and looks they can explore. And so I feel like they're really assigning, these very specific looks to each new film that comes out.
It almost feels a little bit claymation, the way that it's animated. It's giving me a very, like Stregonona feel to it. But the sound that I got just from that little clip makes it seem like it's going to be very heavily focused on sound.
Yeah, and, you know, going back to the look, too, there seems to be like kind of a retro nod to it. I don't want to say that it's set in any specific time, really, but it does feel like maybe it's got a little 50s, 60s kind of twist to it.
For sure. A little bit of a Wallace and Gromit feel to it.
Oh, that's a great analogy. It definitely has that kind of Wallace and Gromit moment to it.
Well, we got some feedback from our Tweedledees all about the Luca trailer, Adam. Should we jump into that?
Let's do it. Take it away.
I shall take it away, starting out with Rob, who is on Instagram at Robstagram. Great name. Rob says, "It looks so cute. I'm already nervous someone beloved is going to bing bong away and make me cry. And looking forward to the hashtag synergy all over the Riviera Resort."
Yes, Rob. Walt Disney World has that brand new Riviera Resort. This takes place in the Italian Riviera. I'm sure that resort is going to fully celebrate the release of this movie.
You bet. I imagine we're going to get a couple of characters in the Italy pavilion as well in Epcot.
Next up, we heard from Wolfie, who you can find on Instagram at Gray-Eyed Wolfie. Wolfie says, some of the scenes remind me of the Ghibli films. Is it Ghibli or Ghibli? I never knew how to pronounce that.
I think it's actually Ghibli.
Ghibli? Let us know, Wolfie. He references Ponyo and Kiki's Delivery Service specifically. He goes on to say, overall, I think it's cute. It gives me throwbacks to the La Luna short, one of my faves, especially the guy at the end of the teaser with the mustache.
Yes, absolutely. Well, it is directed by the same person who did La Luna, so that is likely why you're seeing similarities.
Yeah, a little nod to La Luna, a little nod to Tom of Finland, maybe?
Maybe just a bit. Well, moving on, we have Diego writing in from Instagram at whatsit.galore. Diego says, I'm very excited about this movie. It is set in one of the most beautiful parts of Italy, and the director is Italian. As an Italian myself, I couldn't be happier. The colors and the animation are also stunning. Stunning indeed, Diego.
Stunning colors, stunning. And last but not least, we heard from Connor, who you can find on Instagram at Connor Perkins. And Connor says, it's official. Only twinks can have memorable summers in Italy.
Oh, dear. I know what you're referencing, and you're accurate. You're correct.
What, just the fact that the kids are skinny? Is that it?
I imagine he's referencing Call Me By Your Name.
Oh.
I imagine. If not, then I am.
Got it. Call Me By Your Name. Yeah. And quite frankly, this is like, what? The talented Mr. Ripley babies. They're like little talented Mr. Ripley babies, right?
I'm into that. Well, not the babies, but the talented Mr. Ripley for sure.
Yeah, Patrick, we didn't even talk about this, but were there gay vibes to this trailer? Is it just us living our lives and like imprinting ourselves on the trailer? But two boys hanging out in Italy in the summer, something's got to be more than just friendship, right?
I think we're imprinting. I think we're imprinting there.
I want it to be the case. I just want it to be like alluded to. Disney doesn't need to make any kind of comment on it, but just kind of allude to the fact that these boys have something stronger than a friendship.
Listen, you never know. They are moving forward with their storytelling. So gaily forward, everybody.
Just share a gelato and a knowing look, you know?
I do know, and we should move on. But thank you to all of our Tweedledees who wrote into us. We love when you give us your feedback.
Thank you so much for all of your feedback. And Patrick, that takes us right on into this week in Disney history.
It sure does, Adam. It sure does indeed. Let's dive right in. 41 years ago, everybody, on March 4th, 1980, Disney released 13 of its titles for the very first time into a brave new market called Video Home System, or VHS. The titles would be licensed for rental to Photomat in a 4-city test. The titles included Pete's Dragon, The Black Hole, The Love Bug, Escape to Witch Mountain, Davy Crockett, 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea, Bedknobs and Broomsticks, The North Avenue Irregulars, The Apple Dumpling Gang, Hot Lead and Cold Feet, On Vacation with Mickey and Friends, Kids is Kids starring Donald Duck, and Adventures of Chip and Dale.
Now, I don't remember VHS, do you?
Oh, absolutely. What do you mean you don't remember VHS?
What do you mean? What do you mean? I feel like you're accusing me of pretending to be younger than I am.
Ah, got it. Yeah, you actually invented VHS, I think.
That's very rude of you to say, although I am very smart, so thank you. That's like a backhanded compliment.
Yeah, absolutely. You're welcome. You, Adam, you're just so old that you invented amazing things.
VHS, what a game changer. Patrick, do you remember when it was actually implemented? Because I remember bringing home my first VHS player. It was massive. I remember going to the grocery store to rent VHSs.
Yeah, absolutely. Cub Foods used to rent VHS tapes.
Yeah, I remember those amazing clamshell cases from Disney.
There were some that locked so tightly that I could never actually open them.
You were a weak child.
I was frail.
All right, VHSs. Thank you for your service. I think there is a subset of people that still collect them and have VHS players. I don't know what the win is there, but they're doing it.
I don't have a VHS player, but I do have the old, quite a few of the old Disney VHS cassettes with their clamshell cases that are absolutely beautiful. The artwork on those is stunning.
That's right. I forgot. It's been so long since I've been in your recording studio in your basement. I forgot you have shelves of those VHSs.
Well, shelf. I have shelf of those.
You have shelf.
Well, let's move on, Adam. 84 years ago, on March 3rd, 1937, Bobby Driscoll was born in Cedar Rapids, Iowa. Bobby Driscoll was a child actor appearing in many movies and TV shows. In 1950, he received a Special Academy Award for Outstanding Juvenile Actor for his role in Disney's So Dear to My Heart. But he is likely most well known as the voice and visual inspiration for Peter Pan. Tweedles, I implore you, do yourselves a favor and look up images of Bobby Driscoll. He absolutely looks exactly like Peter Pan. Or, I guess, rather, Peter Pan looks exactly like Bobby Driscoll. Now, unfortunately, after his career with Disney, his life took a little bit of a turn, and he did pass away in 1968 at the very young age of 31 years old from a drug overdose. The story gets a little darker, which maybe we'll cover at another time, perhaps, but it's truly rife for a movie that needs to be made. In any case, happy birthday, Bobby Driscoll. Hopefully you're flying around Neverland right now.
Oh, that's very, very sweet. Yeah, I don't know much about his life beyond his connection to Disney, and fortunately, there is such a connection there in that we have this amazing representation of him as such a classic literary character.
Yes, absolutely. Representation of him is very true. Peter Pan looks exactly like Bobby Driscoll, so we have him to thank for really creating the character that we know in Disney lore as Peter Pan.
I'm sorry, did you say he was a Disney legend?
I don't believe he is a Disney legend.
Okay, I was thinking maybe for on the DL segment, but perhaps the second half of his life was just too dark to get beyond. I don't want to get into it, but that could be the case.
It is very likely the case, but we can certainly add him to our Disney legends that should be.
Yeah, I mean, he's freaking Peter Pan.
He's freaking Peter Pan, everybody. Well, let's move on, Adam. 97 years ago, on March 3rd, 1924, the Alice comedy Alice's Day at Sea premiered. This was the second Alice comedy to be produced, but it was the first produced in California and the first to get nationwide distribution, which many believe officially launched Walt and Roy Disney's animation career, or at least gave them their very first big push. Now, Alice's Day at Sea stars Virginia Davis as Alice, and the short film has the unique distinction of being entirely produced by Walt Disney himself. After Alice's Wonderland was produced, Walt decided to move from Kansas City to California, where production for further films in the series would be easier. When the Alice comedies were picked up, his crew was still in Kansas City. So in order to meet the deadline, he drew and directed the entire film by himself. So you could say that Alice walked so Mickey could run.
Alice walked so Mickey could run. Patrick, I don't understand that phrase. I mean, this is just an aside, but doesn't it seem like the first person should run so that the second person has an easier time and can just walk?
Fair, but the progression of crawling to walking to running goes crawl, walk, run.
Okay, I got it now. It's like sports.
There you go. There it is. That's why you didn't understand it.
I just don't get sports.
Went right over your head like a football, really.
I didn't realize that. I didn't realize that Walt had such a hand in creating that short. And, you think of Walt as more of like a producer. And I don't mean that in necessarily like the literal sense of it, but just like in bringing people together, in kind of fostering talent. But in those early days, in those early shorts, man, he was doing the work.
Yeah, he was super hands-on. And let's not forget, I mean, he started out as an animator. So his mark is all over the early days of Disney.
It's so weird. Walt Disney's mark is all over the early days of Walt Disney.
I mean, listen, he's been gone for longer than he's been here within the history of Disney.
Very true. Very true. Well, thank you, Patrick. As always, that was a fantastic look at some really pivotal moments in Disney history.
Thank you so much.
And with that, should we walk or run into the news?
Well, whoever's doing their first story will walk so the second person can run with their story.
Okay, I call first story then because I just want a nice stroll into my news segments.
Got it. And I would be fully out of breath by the end of mine.
Another week, another exciting round of announcements regarding Disney Plus programming. First up, the streaming service announced the spring and early summer premiere dates for several highly anticipated series. Nice weather. Who needs it, Patrick? Stay inside and watch Disney Plus, right?
Amen.
Amen. Big Shot, starring John Stamos as a hot-headed men's basketball coach who gets kicked out of the NCAA and takes a job at an all-girls high school. That premise is something else. Will premiere Friday, April 16th. Star Wars The Bad Batch, an animated series following elite and experimental clones of the infamous Bad Batch as they find their way in a rapidly changing galaxy immediately after the Clone War, will launch Tuesday, May 4th. High School Musical, the series Season 2, which finds the East High Wildcats preparing to perform Patrick, Beauty and the Beast as their spring musical, will begin on Friday, May 14th. That should be really cool to watch.
Magical AF.
So AF, so much AF in that. Zenimation Season 2, which will once again be serving us mindfulness soundscape experiences, will premiere Friday, June 11th. Highlighted films will include Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs, Raya and the Last Dragon, Moana, and Bambi. Loki, the series that everyone is looking forward to. I think Loki, the next Marvel Studios project for Disney Plus, starring Tom Hiddleston, did I even need to say that, will premiere on Friday, June 11th. The Mysterious Benedict Society, which is based on the best-selling novel series of the same name by Trenton Lee Stewart, and is set at a boarding school in which a group of orphans are tasked with foiling a nefarious plot while creating a family along the way. Again, some of these plots will debut Friday, June 25th. But Patrick, just as a reminder, the cast includes Tony Hale and Kristen Schaal, so that's going to be a win, I think.
Yeah, totally into that cast.
Turner and Hooch, a series remake of the 1989 buddy film of the same name, centering on an ambitious but buttoned-up U.S. Marshal Scott Turner, played by the adorable Josh Peck, who inherits a big unruly dog and soon realizes that the dog is the partner he needs. Oh, will launch on Friday, July 16th. Hey, that's my mom's birthday. Happy birthday, Mom.
Happy birthday.
Happy birthday, Mary. Next up, Chip and Dale Park Life. I completely forgot about this one, Patrick. The new animated series featuring Chip and Dale trying to live the good life in a big city park while having giant-sized, sky-high adventures will premiere Friday, July 23rd. So, Patrick, that is quite the extensive lineup. It seems like every Friday from now until the end of July, we have something new to look forward to on Disney+.
Something new to look forward to, and a lot of like 90s nostalgia coming back at us.
A lot of 90s nostalgia just slapping you right in the face.
I like it. I want to be slapped in the face by John Stamos, though, so I'm excited about Big Shot.
With his hand?
Who knows? With his big shot, you know?
Moving on, Patrick. According to a February 22nd The Hollywood Reporter exclusive, Disney is teaming up with Apple TV Plus's For All Mankind creator Ron Moore to develop a franchise for Disney Plus that is set in Disney's Magic Kingdom. Patrick, can you even?
I can't even, but I want to.
So many Tweedles, they can't even right now. Did you hear that like worldwide faint of all the Tweedles?
So much gasps. So many gasps.
So many gay gasps out there. The first projects in the works as part of the so-called Magic Kingdom universe, that's right, kids, it's MKU now, is the Society of Explorers and Adventurers, which is set in a world where all the themed lands and characters of the Disney parks and classic films actually exist in another reality. The idea, per sources, is to explore characters like the boat captain from the Jungle Cruise, or prospector from Big Thunder Mountain, or climbers from the Matterhorn, for example, as part of the world of the Society of Explorers and Adventurers. And Patrick, gosh darn it, we were talking about this in our very last episode with Chris from Wishful Thinking.
I was just going to say, I feel like we made this happen, you know?
I do feel like we have that power, and I guess we say you're welcome?
You are so welcome. So welcome.
For the Magic Kingdom universe, Moore is working closely with the Disney Imagineering team. Sources say a mini writer's room is already being put together with a search underway for 3 senior-level writers. Hello, 2 of us are sitting right here.
They're now searching for 1 writer.
Moore is currently developing the Disney Plus series Swiss Family Robinson, which he's working on with Crazy Rich Asians director John M. Chu. Of his collaboration with Disney, Moore stated, quote, "I decided to go there mostly because my childhood was built around a lot of things that were Disney. I'm a huge fan and aficionado of the Disneyland park in Anaheim, to the point where I would go there by myself periodically and ride all the rides. The opportunity for me to get to work on a lot of classic IP that Disney has and things in their library that meant so much to me as a child growing up and that I have shared with my children ultimately was just something I couldn't pass up." End quote. Patrick, I cannot wait to see where this series goes.
Yeah, all of this is super exciting. Absolutely.
I don't know if it's fair to kind of tie it to another IP, but Jumanji comes to mind instantly for me when I think about this series being created by Moore.
Yeah, that feels right. I'm with you on that one.
Over-the-top action, mystical elements. I want it all.
I don't want much, but I do want it all.
That's all.
It's about to get responsible up in here, Adam, because Disney recently released its 2020 Corporate Responsibility Report. Now, don't fall asleep just yet, because it's actually pretty interesting, and if nothing else, it'll give all of our Tweedledees some talking points when defending their love for Disney. The 79-page report outlines and reflects Disney's contributions to its shareholders, stakeholders, and the community at large. This year, Disney was sure to highlight key efforts in regards to the COVID-19 pandemic, diversity and inclusion, and its focus on the company's 2030 environmental goals. A quote from Senior Executive Vice President and Chief Financial Officer Christine McCarthy, "Our commitment to corporate responsibility is fundamental to our culture and aligns with the growing calls for businesses to take action. This year, we met our 2020 environmental goals and set ambitious new 2030 goals, accelerated our initiatives addressing racial and social injustice, and we continue to strengthen our ESG transparency." ESG stands for Environment, Social, and Governance. A few key highlights from the report. In response to COVID-19, Disney launched a cross-company campaign, Feed the Love, with talent from ABC, Freeform, FX, National Geographic, ESPN, and A&E, which raised awareness and nearly $2.8 million in donations to Feeding America's food security efforts. Also, Disney Theatrical Group, in collaboration with Broadway Cares Equity Fights AIDS, created virtual events such as Disney on Broadway's 25th anniversary concert, collectively raising more than $615,000 for COVID-19 emergency assistance funds. Disney also provided nearly $27 million in-kind support, such as donating food and unused PPE from closed parks and production sets. The company also sent 150,000 rain ponchos to MedShare to help protect nurses' clothing, along with a $1 million donation in connection with sales of U.S. cloth face masks. In regards to advancing social equality, in June 2020, CEO Bob Chapek launched a new company-wide initiative composed of 6 pillars focused on increasing diversity and inclusion: transparency, representation, accountability, community, content, and culture. The company also announced a new CEO Diversity and Inclusion Council led by Bob Chapek and a Creative Inclusion Council led by Bob Iger, Executive Chairman and Chairman of the Board. Both councils are co-chaired by Latondra Newton, Senior Vice President, Chief Diversity Officer. Disney also pledged $5 million to nonprofit organizations that support Black communities. Disney's content groups have committed to inclusive and authentic storytelling across brands and are working to increase diversity in creative roles both in front of and behind the camera. ESPN also committed more than $3 million to help make sure kids from all backgrounds have the same access to the sports experiences that greatly influence and empower so many lives. And finally, in regards to the environment, Disney reached its 2020 target to reduce net greenhouse gas emissions by 50% relative to 2012 total levels and announced a slate of new ambitious goals, including achieving net zero greenhouse gas emissions for direct operations by 2030. To reach these goals, Disney's approach will focus on the following areas: climate and energy, water and oceans, waste, materials, and sustainable building design. Among other things, this means achieving 100% zero-carbon electricity by 2030 and investment in natural climate solutions, zero waste to landfill for the company's wholly owned and operated parks and resorts, and at least 30% recycled plastic in products and packaging. To learn more or to read the full report, head on over to thewaltdisneycompany.com.
It's always so great when this report is released because we get kind of a peek into the inner workings of the Walt Disney Company. And yes, it is a major PR boost for them. I don't know if it was major, but it's some definite good news that the company can release on its own behalf. But it's important for us as fans to also see what the company is doing to kind of better not only the environment, but also make strides forward in issues like diversity and equity, things like that.
Yeah, for sure. It's very telling the way that they laid out the report this year in what they're highlighting and focusing on what was important to them based on what's important to the community and to the world at large right now.
I guess we should release a social responsibility report, or is that not a good idea?
It might turn people away, that's for sure. Our corporate irresponsibility report.
There we go. Joe Rohde, recently retired Walt Disney Imagineer who served as lead designer on Disney's Animal Kingdom and so many attractions and experiences we love, has re-entered the workforce in a major way, Patrick.
I feel betrayed a little bit.
Sure, feel betrayed, yeah. And I mean, what a break he took. That was all of 4 weeks?
At most, it was 4 weeks.
Virgin Galactic has brought in Joe Rohde as a strategic advisor to help design and guide the overall experience journey for future astronauts, friends and family, and inspired fans alike. Joe will become Virgin Galactic's first experience architect, bringing more than 40 years' experience from Walt Disney Imagineering, where he led projects that transformed the image of Disney's iconic experiences and attractions. During a recent trip to Spaceport America, Virgin Galactic's human spaceflight headquarters and center of flight operations, Rohde stated, quote, "This is one of the most profound things that can happen to you, to go beyond the reaches of Earth to space and look back down at it. It's a spectacularly unique opportunity with huge potential for transformational change in a person. What Virgin Galactic is doing in democratizing space travel has reached a moment where it is about to enter history. It's happening right here in New Mexico, and it's very rare to be a person who gets to be in the place at the time that history begins, end quote. Michael Colglazier, CEO of Virgin Galactic, said, quote, "As soon as I joined Virgin Galactic, I knew there was one person we just had to work with to help shape the incredible experience we are developing, and that person was Joe Rohde. Joe has a methodology that is unique, inspired, and truly effective. His track record for keeping authenticity central to the design and creating deeply transformative experiences aligns perfectly with our mission. I couldn't be more pleased to see Joe choose Virgin Galactic for his first encore," end quote. Patrick, this sounds incredible. And when I sat back from this story for a bit, because I have to be honest, when I first read the press release, I was like, what is he doing? I'm not really, is he designing spaceships? I don't really know what's going on. And then, and then I realized he's actually designing the airport, essentially, or helping those that are going to be either going to space or seeing their loved ones off to space. He's going to be defining what that looks like.
Yeah, it sounds like he's creating an environment that makes them feel a little bit more comfortable while they're there, I guess. I don't know. It's hard to really articulate exactly what he's doing until we see it for ourselves.
Yeah, I can only envision what this, I'm assuming it's going to be like very futuristic or future modernism, or I don't know the architectural term for it, but I'm excited to see what this is going to end up looking like, this kind of airport of the future.
I'm also very excited to see this as well. I'm not, however, understanding how this ties into fixing that Yeti, you know?
What about the Yeti? Does the Yeti get to go to space?
I mean, it's not doing anything else right now, so it may as well.
The next time we see the Yeti, is it going to have a giant astronaut helmet on?
Californians will soon be getting touched by Disney. Beginning March 18th, Disney California Adventure will offer the limited capacity ticketed experience, A Touch of Disney. This limited capacity touch will offer popular food and beverages from around the resort, unique photo locations, shopping, and a chance to see, but not touch, Disney characters. Some of the food available for purchase will be churros, Dole Whips, and the classic Monte Cristo sandwich, just to name a few. And many items will be available in snack-sized portions, much like what you'd see at one of the Epcot festivals. Some of the food items will be sold at marketplaces throughout the park, and a few snack stops will also be open and serving food, including Smoke Jumper's Grill, Adorable Snowman Frosted Treats, and Award Wieners. For shopping, select retail locations will be open along Buena Vista Street, and Bing Bong's Sweet Stuff at Pixar Pier will be available for a selection of souvenirs and treats. And for the character sightings, be sure to visit Cars Land to see Mater and Lightning McQueen, or Pixar Pier to see Joy and Sadness. Mickey and Pals will also be roaming the parks, and a few photo spots will be available specifically for the Touch of Disney event. If you are lucky enough to snag a ticket, be sure to listen for the brand new, specifically curated soundtrack of reimagined Disney songs broadcast throughout the park. Tickets for A Touch of Disney will be available on Disneyland.com beginning March 4th for select dates from March 18th through April 5th, 2021. Tickets will then be made available on a rolling basis for as long as they keep the experience going. Tickets will be $75 per person, which include admission, parking, unlimited downloads of PhotoPass photos, and a $25 dining card valid towards food and non-alcoholic beverages. Table reservations for Lamplight Lounge and Carthay Circle Lounge will be made available beginning March 11th. Reservations at either lounge does not provide admission to the event, and you must have a valid ticket for the event on the same day as the table reservation. Also to note, Downtown Disney will remain open. However, Buena Vista Street will be closed to Downtown Disney shoppers beginning on March 15th and will become a part of A Touch of Disney on March 18th. And last but not least, no attractions will be open during this Touch of Disney.
That title, though.
I had some fun with it. I'm not going to lie. I couldn't avoid it.
It's a good touch, though, right?
It's a great touch. It's a real good touch.
What a relief for our California Tweedles, who I know have just been kind of so eager to do anything inside a park that somewhat remotely resembles normal, if that makes sense. You know, I think that they're so desperate to get into these parks that they know and love, and a lot of them grew up going to. So this will be kind of a great, I don't know, runner-up prize instead of like opening the full park.
Yeah, for sure. I think it's a really smart idea. I'm surprised they didn't try this a little bit sooner. I know that they were very eager to get those gates open again, and this is just sort of them going, I'm not saying we're open, but we're kind of open right now.
Do you think the value is there for the ticket price?
When I first saw the $75 ticket mark, I was like, ooh, that seems expensive to just walk around in a circle. But then when you get $25 back in food, totally worth it, I feel like. For me, going to a Disney park isn't even necessarily about the attractions. It's just that experience, the smell and the sounds and the sights of it all. And so I think I would pay that absolutely to be in Disney California Adventure for a day.
Yeah, I feel the same way, especially with that $25 food voucher added to the ticket cost, to have that experience again of being surrounded by fellow Disney fans at a distance, and just to be feeling like you are home again, even if it's not the full version of home, I think would be a huge relief to those who frequent those parks on a regular basis.
Well, and if nothing else, this will be a great test for Disney to show California, look, we can do this. We can be distant. We can do it safely. Now we're ready to go into the next phase, right? And if one of the rides just happens to turn on, you know, I mean, who's to poo-poo that? You know what I mean?
I think the California government, right?
They might poo-poo that.
They
Yeah,
might
you're right.
poo-poo that, yeah. Hey, Patrick.
Hey, Adam.
You know, it can take a lot of work to put out an episode of Gaze Do the D.
It can take some work. Yeah.
I mean, the makeup we have to apply, the looks we put together for each recording session.
Yeah, the wigs alone.
The dance numbers we have to choreograph. And there's just a lot that goes into the production of an episode up front. That's not even the recording and then the editing.
Yeah, that's before we even start writing a story.
That's right. So every once in a while, it's nice for us to just sit back and just pop off on some topics. And we thought, you know, that's something we do in our everyday conversations. Why don't we do it on the podcast and really let people know how we feel about things?
I like it. The world needs to know how we feel about things.
Yeah, and we're public figures. So, you know, we frequently have to be very reserved in our feelings. And I don't want to say it's like the monarchy in England, but it's like the monarchy in England. We have to kind of hide our feelings so that we can provide comfort and kind of a steadfastness to those who listen to us.
It's true. It's a service we provide for the masses.
It is a service, yes. But going back to that popping off thing, I just like saying popping off. You know, there are topics that we like to talk about that we don't really address in the news, or we don't talk about in banter, things that come up during the week. You might call them hot topics, Patrick.
Remember that store, Hot Topic?
Remember that store, Hot Topic? Got some manic panic, put a streak in your hair.
Make that hair blue.
Make it blue, make it pink, make it blue, make it pink. What I'm trying to get to, Patrick, is for this week's segment, we are going to have a conversation about several topics that have come up recently. And you know what? We're going to name the segment, and we're going to call it Tea Party.
That's right. We're going to talk about things that you and I would probably naturally talk about over dinner or over tea, if you will. And some of the topics, maybe they aren't actually topical right now, but they're just things that we would naturally talk about amongst ourselves.
Or think about constantly, day and night. Can't get to sleep. Think about these topics.
Exactly. Mostly hibiscus tea.
Mostly hibiscus tea, yeah. So we put together a list of topics that we would like to discuss. We may not hit all of them. We may, who knows. But we thought we'd enter them into a randomizer. And, you know, let computer God choose what comes out of our mouth.
Someone should decide what comes out of my mouth, that's for sure.
As long as you decide what goes in your mouth, okay, buddy?
I was just going to say that. I own what goes into my mouth, and someone else needs to decide what comes out of my mouth. You know? I can only have so much power.
I'm titillated. I'm excited. I am disturbed, Patrick.
Yep, exactly.
All right, Patrick, let's kick off this discussion. What topic are we going to address first? The Tweedles are waiting with bated breath.
Well, let's start with an easy topic, Adam. I'm glancing at the list real quickly. I'm just going to go with current Disney obsessions.
Oh, my. You know, of the two of us, I don't want to cast anyone as a more passionate person when it comes to Disney, but I'm definitely going to do that. I think you are more passionate in more realms of Disney culture than I am. So why don't you start? What are you really feeling? What's doing it for you lately?
I think we're both equally passionate. Let's be clear about that.
I don't know. I feel like I'm definitely passionate about parks, you know, but it's not really an option for me anyway at the moment. But I think you are passionate about like parks, movies, merchandise, you know, like there's just more areas that you have your hand in, so to speak.
It's occurring to me now that I'm not sure why you're part of this podcast because you don't seem to like Disney very much.
You make an excellent point. Should I sign off?
That's our show, everybody.
And it'll just be Patrick now talking to you endlessly about merch. No, but seriously, how do you feel? What's doing it for you lately?
I've been reading some Disney books lately, specifically the Twisted Tales books, and I'm obsessed with them. I'm reading the Little Mermaid Ursula one right now, the What If Ursula had not been defeated by Ariel and Triton. It's really good, actually. I'm excited about it.
Do you foresee it being some kind of movie or something eventually?
So I think that these have to be taken as not Disney canon at all because they are just sort of what if stories, but they're really fun. Absolutely. I could see maybe a what if series as long as it's very explicit. And this is not canon. This is just us having fun, right?
Yeah, kind of similar to what Marvel's doing with that animated series that's on Disney Plus, kind of like a twisted tale, a different version of what could be.
Yeah, exactly. And Liz Braswell, I believe, is the author of all of them, I think, the Twisted Tale series anyways, and it's really good. She's a great writer. It's super fun. It's not just for kids. It's got an adult theme to it as well, so I recommend it. And I'm loving him. I'm loving the books.
Wasn't this going to be a series? Am I thinking of another book series? Or wasn't there going to be like a villains series that kind of explored the villains before the events of the films that they were in?
Yeah, I think that was a different series, though. It's not Liz Braswell. It was a different one that was just the villain side of the story, basically.
Okay. Well, that's great. And I'm proud of you for reading.
There's not much else to do.
Except watch Disney Plus all day long.
Fair enough. What about you? Anything, any Disney obsessions? Anything that you're loving right now with Disney?
Honestly, the thing that I'm in love with the most right now is something that I feel like we might be talking about a lot during this segment, and that is WandaVision. I am so obsessed with that series, and I'm eager to see how it ends.
Yes, absolutely. We can talk about WandaVision right now. Why not? It's an obsession of yours.
It is an obsession for me. Is it an obsession for you?
Oh, my gosh. I love it. I was pleasantly surprised every single episode so far. I was confused a lot, which is great. It's not hard to do, confuse me, you know, but it's been fantastic. The acting cast is out of this world.
Yeah, it's quite the cast they've assembled. Have you seen the most recent episode, last Friday's episode?
I have, okay. Yeah. We won't spoil it, but yes, I have seen it.
Well, I kind of want to get into it a little bit. Like, this is going back 2 weeks, but I do want to talk about the Agnes of it all, or the Agatha of it all, rather.
Yeah, I guess if you haven't been on social media at all, then you may not know what we're talking about. But if you own an iPhone or a smartphone of any kind, you've seen the the Agatha memes that are out there.
Spoiler alert, because I want to dive into this a little bit. But were you familiar with the Agatha character before it was revealed that she was Agatha Harkness?
I was reminded, though, of that character. I didn't see it coming, that's for sure. But then when it was revealed, I was like, oh, yeah, I vaguely remember this character. And then my mind just ran immediately with what they might be doing with the story going forward.
I had no idea who she was, and so I had to do internet research to figure out how she fit into the Marvel universe. And she's a really fascinating character. I wouldn't say that she's super connected to Scarlet Witch in the comics, although she is kind of a mentor and also antagonist for her in a weird way in the comics anyway. So I'm eager to see where they go with her in the series. And I'm hoping, Patrick, that they end up keeping her around. Like she's kind of like a recurring character that pops in and out of the Marvel universe every once in a while. Kind of like a Q, if anyone out there is a Star Trek The Next Generation nerd, the character Q, who kind of would appear every so often for an episode or two. I want that kind of relationship with Agnes because she is so fascinating. And of course, Catherine Hahn, who plays her, is amazing.
Yeah. It's a great character. It's a great actress playing the character. They could go in 8 million directions because, like you said, she's sort of a Loki character where it's like, is she good? Is she bad? We don't really know. She's kind of both, which is fascinating. Those are some of the more fascinating characters, I think.
She's kind of like a low-key Loki.
She's a low-key Loki.
So as of this recording, there's one episode left in the limited series for Disney+. It seems like they have a lot to wrap up. You know, we were introduced to Monica Rambeau in the series, and I feel like we haven't seen that much of her, especially in the last episode. We didn't really see any of her at all. And so I'm curious if this is an introduction to that character and then it's just a setup for more of her adventures in the Captain Marvel series. I assumed when the series started that we see a lot more of her, and I just feel like we haven't had enough of her.
Yeah, agreed. I have a feeling that WandaVision, when it wraps up, is going to actually launch a couple of other characters that we're going to get spin-off series from.
And we know that it ties directly to Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness. So when the series finale airs, I'm assuming we'll get a direct lead-in to then the film.
Yeah, for sure. I think we're going to get some more Monica Rambeau. I have a theory that we might get a glimpse of Ms. Marvel, perhaps, because we know that's coming out later this year, and it would make sense for her to tie in a little bit. So we'll see. If nothing else, WandaVision has retaught the world how to use the internet for good and not for evil, because everyone is an internet sleuth right now.
That's so true. And, you know, I think there is, at least, you know, based on the other podcasts that I listen to and YouTube videos I watch, it seems like there's a real kind of gay enthusiasm for this series. Like, I feel like a lot of gays have really latched onto it. And I was thinking back to my childhood when I was visiting my grandma's house. You know, she had cable TV, which is something I didn't grow up with. And so whenever I would stay over, we'd watch Nick at Night. And that's where I was introduced to all these amazing series that Wanda is so attached to. And I wonder if a lot of gays have had that same experience where they're kind of drawn to those vintage television shows. And that's why they're so keyed in on this story.
Oh my gosh, when this is not giving away anything, but she watches an episode specifically of the Dick Van Dyke Show with the walnuts, and I immediately knew what episode that was because I am obsessed and was obsessed with the Dick Van Dyke Show and all of the shows that they used throughout the course of WandaVision. So yes, for me, absolutely. That's accurate.
And I'm assuming, too, for gay men, there's a real attraction there to the very strong female leads. You know, there's male leads in this series. Well, there's really just Vision, who's kind of like the male lead. But when you think about Wanda, Monica, now Agatha, you know, there's these really strong female characters, really strong, interesting female characters that really captivate us.
Well, there's something very camp about old TV shows, and there's something sort of subliminally camp about WandaVision as well. And just in general, there's something campy about superhero stories, right? I mean, you have people running around in very tight clothing, and they have these superpowers that they try to hide because society doesn't want them to be. There's something very gay about that. There's a connection with the gay community and superhero movies, and then old-time TV shows as well.
Yeah, you're right. It checks off a lot of boxes. It checks off the camp. It checks off the nostalgia box. There's essentially musical numbers. You know, we have those great like kind of credit sequences that are tied into most of the episodes. And that's a fun little element too. So there's just a lot there, I think, for the community to kind of grasp onto and is really entertained. And in the case of the last episode, really moved by.
Well, and let's not forget the duo, their name escapes me right now, who wrote the music for Frozen and Frozen 2 is writing the music for WandaVision. So, I mean, that's pretty gay as well.
Very, very gay. Yeah, very, very gay. So WandaVision right now is my obsession. I really cannot stop thinking about the series. I think it's so successful and really takes Marvel in a direction where they've been able to achieve something that's more insular. You know, when we watch things like the Avengers movies, the scope of it is so large that you're trying to incorporate all these stories, and they're very successful, obviously. But Marvel, so far, the Marvel Studios anyway, hasn't gone small. And this is a very small production. The cast is so small. And so it's fun to see them explore this kind of territory. And I hope going forward, I think they will explore more of these kind of experimental type shows, because obviously with WandaVision, it paid off. It's a huge success.
Yeah, and I want to give Marvel and Disney a round of applause for the way they're handling this right now, because it's forcing people or teasing people to go back and read those old comics and purchase them. And there's a resurgence right now of older Marvel comic books being sold. And I think that's fantastic and super smart of them. And I hope it spawns even more comics in the future, right? I hope we get some more side stories that are maybe not connected necessarily to the Disney Marvel universe at large, but just little side spin-offs that are just fun to read.
Let's get weird, Marvel. Let's keep it weird. Let's have some fun.
Keep it weird. Well, all right. That was a fun topic, don't you think?
We were very informed, and it was an incredibly successful segment for this new feature segment, yes.
Success all around. Well, Adam, fresh pot, move down. It's time for another topic.
I love how you incorporated that.
Thank you so much.
New topic is The Muppets, Patrick.
A great topic. What's going on with the Muppets, Adam?
A natural segue from Marvel to the Muppets, don't you think?
They both start with M.
What is going on with the Muppets, Patrick?
Who can say? It's a Muppet mess right now.
We were blessed with all 5 seasons of The Muppet Show on Disney Plus recently. Disney did have to address the fact that there were some insensitive cultural references in some of the episodes, which they did, again, like they did with the animated movies, by having a disclaimer in front of the episodes. So there is some insensitivity when it comes to some of the episodes.
As there was wont to be pre-now. Anything on TV pre-right now. And even now, a little bit, there's some insensitivities happening. But yeah, it's hard to find a television show from the past that doesn't have some problematic cultural references.
Yeah, and the hope is that when viewed by someone who may not be able to quite process it properly, that someone is there to have a discussion with them and, you know, kind of teach them why what they're seeing is not appropriate.
For sure. And of course, we have the new Disney Plus Muppets show. Have you been watching that?
I started watching it and then I stopped watching it. Have you been seeing it all the way through?
I mean, I'm trying to get through all of it. It's not my favorite, but it's a good try. They're getting closer to what I think could be a successful new platform for them. It wasn't for me, this show.
We're talking about Muppets Now.
Yes, now we are talking about Muppets Now.
I started off feeling great about it, and then as I watched episodes 2 and 3, I realized that it was very repetitive. I thought there were going to be varying segments, and it seems like they keep going back to the same kind of quote-unquote YouTube channels in Muppets Now.
Yeah, it kind of reminded me of the old Nickelodeon TV show, the sketch comedy show that they had, All That, which was kind of funny, but it was very repetitive. It was the same scenes over and over again.
Yeah, I wonder what the creative decision was there not to kind of expand what the series was going to be. Now, you said you've watched more of it. Have there been more interviews with celebrities and things like that?
There have been, and some of them are pretty funny. There are definite moments within each show that I laugh out loud, and then there are moments within each show that I'm like, okay, now I can make a sandwich during this scene because I know it's not going to be funny.
One thing that wasn't successful for me was the Swedish Chef sequences. Anytime those happened, it just felt very repetitive, very kind of frustrating for me. I understand there are huge Swedish Chef stands out there, Patrick, but maybe I'm just not one of them. But that was one of the segments that wasn't as successful for me.
It could have been funny, but I think the problem is that a lot of the celebrities that they were getting to be the other chef weren't good improv artists, because that whole scene is actually improv, or most of it anyways. And so it hindered it a little bit. They weren't being as funny as they could have been, I thought. That's
a great point. Yeah, it really depends on who you're playing off of.
Exactly. Which brings me to Earth to Ned, which I think is very successful, actually.
Very, very successful, very funny, very intelligent. I love that series.
I actually don't know. Can we call that a Muppet series? I know it's a Jim Henson series, but I don't think, or not a Jim Henson, but a Henson Company series, but not a Muppet series. I don't know.
Muppets adjacent, yes.
Muppets adjacent. I guess the way that Sesame Street is Muppets adjacent.
Yeah, that is a successful take, kind of a new concept on the late night talk show with an alien and his hilarious co-host / band leader.
So funny, so funny. And that's when I think that the Muppets are most successful, is when they're actually playing to adults and not to kids at all.
I agree. There needs to be that wink there, and I feel like maybe Disney's playing it too safe with them, and they need to kind of explore how to better implement the Muppets in entertaining an adult audience first, and then entertaining children. I mean, children will be entertained regardless, right? It's like felt talking to them. That's very charming to children. I'm no child psychologist, but I think that's what they're entertained by. But the Muppets need to be more adult focused. You're right.
I don't even think it needs to be a wink. I think it needs to be a full-on, this is an adult television show that kids can enjoy as well.
All right, Disney After Dark.
Disney After Dark. It just seems to me that that Disney needs to commit to something. You know, they have some commitment issues.
That's why we're friends. And I applaud that you kind of jammed it in there twice.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. I said it funny one way, but then the second way was funnier with commitment issues, you know?
That's also a t-shirt, by the way.
Absolutely it is. We got to steal that. Commitment issues.
I have commitment issues for sure. All right. Well, we can't fix the Muppets in this episode of GDTD, but we'll keep trying.
We're going to keep trying. We're going to give it the old GDTD try.
And that takes us to our next topic, Patrick, which is...
Oh, it's time. It's time, Adam. A new topic. Fresh pot. Move down. New topic is Abagail Disney on It's Been a Minute podcast.
Okay, this was a moment. Yes, Abagail Disney recently appeared on the NPR podcast called It's Been a Minute with Sam Sanders. Patrick, I'm assuming you've had a chance to listen?
Yes, I actually really love that podcast.
It's an excellent podcast. As soon as you're done listening to GDTD, check it out. So Abagail Disney, for those of you that don't know, is the granddaughter of Roy O. Disney, who was Walt's brother, obviously. And she appeared on the February 16th episode, which was entitled The Not So Wonderful World of Disney.
I believe that's correct, yeah.
And she really kind of gives this wonderful picture of being a member of the Disney family and struggling with the extreme wealth that Disney has brought her and also the kind of inequity within the company.
Yeah, this was one of the first times in a while I have experienced Abagail Disney in an interview where I was actually on her side for most of it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, she is so thoughtful, and I think there's a rush to judgment when it comes to someone who has inherited extreme wealth. This isn't something that she earned. This is something that she was born into, and then, I mean, her wealth really took off during the Eisner years, and that's when she really started to not feel guilty, but definitely feel conflicted about the fact that she had been accumulating so much money.
Yeah, there's an interesting segment that she talks about just like going to a grocery store and handing over her credit card with her name Disney on it, and people going, "Oh my gosh, you must have so much money. Good for you, congratulations." And she's like, "Oh, that's problematic. I don't want to be known as that, as somebody who has wealth. I want to be known as somebody who's part of a company that brings joy to people's lives." There's
a real conflict within her where, you know, she says that there are some real negatives that the company has to address, but she recognizes the fact that parents are bringing their kids to these parks and that they're having this real kind of bonding experience, and there's an emotional connection to the parks and the films. She gets all of it, and that's why I think I'm so fascinated by her story, because she is looking at both sides of the issue.
And she's absolutely correct. I mean, there's so many points to be made here. She talks a lot about the pay inequities that are happening from the top down, where you have these executives who are making more money than any person ever needs to make in their lives in one day. You know what I mean? They're making so much money. And then you have people who are the face and the voice of Disney in the parks, and they're making minimum wage and sometimes barely a living wage. And it's problematic. The pay disparagement, is that a word? I don't know. that happens in corporate America is so vast and so ridiculous and so unnecessary. I feel like if we could bridge that gap and build up the middle class, who am I, Bernie Sanders, things would be so much better. We would have access to so much more. More people would have access to so much more. And so I absolutely see her point in that.
Yeah, she really keys into the fact that shareholders have really been catered to, and it's really about making the shareholder experience of the Walt Disney Company very successful, which I know it's part of a company, right? But it's coming on the backs of what you said, the workers and, those who are being paid less within the company. And she mentions in the podcast having a third-party entity come into the company and review the practices to ensure it's doing good overall, which is something that she's really pushing Disney to do, so that there can be kind of a leveling, so that there's not these CEOs that are paid just astronomical salaries, and then, the theme park workers, the cast members that we know and love, who are just paid absolutely nothing.
Right. And another point that she makes is that Disney is so much better when they are producing content that's based on the artistry of Disney and based on what families want, rather than based on getting more money out of it. And we really saw that, and we allude to it sometimes on this podcast, even during the Michael Eisner years, and we joke about it sometimes with, like, they would make a movie or a cartoon out of anything, right? As long as it could make them a buck, they would make the movie with video rentals and DVDs and VHS, and that's what a lot of our Take Two episodes are about, is these movies that were made in the 90s that didn't need to be made, but they made the company a ton of money, but added no artistic value to the company at all.
Yeah, it's a fascinating conversation she has with Sam, and she really is a proponent of almost backpedaling on Disney's success, at least financially, and making the case for a more craft version of Disney, for lack of a better term, I think. And I don't know how that's done at this point. Disney's so huge now. How do we do that, Patrick? I need an answer from you. Go.
Who can say? I do think it starts with the parks, though. I think that the employees in the parks, all the cast members, need to be paid so much more than they are now, and recognized so much more than they are right now. I think it starts there, and then see what happens from there. As long as people are making an appropriate amount of money for the job that they're doing, then I think the company will be on a track for success.
All right, you heard it here first, folks. That's the solution. That's where we're going to start. We're going to start with cast members working in the parks, and we're going to take it from there.
I have all the answers.
All right, next topic, Patrick, is live action remakes. How do you really feel? Go.
What a fun topic. How do you really feel? I don't know how I feel about the live action remakes anymore. I am so torn about these movies. What about you?
My experience? You're talking about my experience, Patrick?
I am, specifically your experience, Adam.
Thank you. My experience has been that there have been a lot more misses than there have been successes. I keep going back to, I thought Cinderella was very successful.
Yeah, I think that might be my favorite live action remake.
And we both liked Lady and the Tramp, which premiered on Disney+.
Yeah, I thought that was a beautifully done movie as well.
Apart from those two films, I feel like I've been more let down. Maybe even Aladdin. I'll give Aladdin a break because I had such low expectations for Aladdin. And you know how I feel about Will Smith, but he ultimately ended up charming me. So even Aladdin was more of a success, I would say. But the rest of them just haven't really grabbed me. I haven't left feeling uplifted and excited by what I just saw.
That's fair. I would add Mulan onto that pile for myself anyways. I really loved that movie. I had a chance to watch it again, and I thought it was beautiful for sure. It's such a different movie, though, than the original Mulan, so it's almost hard to compare the two as a remake. It's almost just like a different movie.
That's an excellent point. And I think a lot of people felt that way for good and for bad too, right? Like they were expecting either more of the content that's in the animated film, or they were delighted by the fact that Disney kind of strayed from that story.
Yeah, for sure. Here's a little bit where I'm torn on it, and kind of ties into our last conversation about Abagail Disney and sort of Disney making anything just to make a buck. Sometimes I'm worried, I guess, that Disney is only doing these live action remakes to get money out of the whole Disney of it all, as opposed to doing it for an artistic, real meaty reason, if that makes sense.
Yeah, and I'm concerned that that's being applied to things outside of films too, you know, like it is directly relates to what we were just talking about with the podcast that Abagail was on, was just how much is Disney pursuing these new endeavors for a buck over a kind of reinterpretation or new creative take on a classic.
Which I think for me, we saw with Beauty and the Beast. I did not love that movie. I didn't think it needed to be made. For me, it didn't offer me anything new out of the story, Beauty and the Beast, other than songs that I loved so much more before being sung not so great, in my opinion.
Yeah, that's absolutely true for that one, yeah.
And then The Lion King, though beautiful, though groundbreaking with what it brought to our eyes and ears, again, it was just a direct remake. It didn't offer me anything artistically new to the whole Lion King of it all.
The Lion King falls firmly into that. Just because you can do something doesn't mean you should do something.
Yeah. I guess it all hangs in the balance with The Little Mermaid.
The Little Mermaid, Pinocchio. We have Pinocchio coming up. We have Peter and Wendy coming up.
Although, do we know, is Peter Pan and Wendy a remake or is it a retelling of the story from Captain Hook's version? I guess we don't know enough about what's going to happen in that movie yet to really call it a remake yet.
That's a thinker. You've really got me thinking on that one, PK.
Thank you so much. But yes, Pinocchio for sure. I'm kind of excited about Pinocchio.
The good thing about a film like Pinocchio is that there has been time between the animated film coming out and now the live action version. So perhaps that will soften our kind of focus on the specifics of the story. The bad thing, of course, is that Pinocchio is a classic and one that people really, really love. So that might work against it.
That's fair. Maybe that's why Cinderella was so successful, because there was so much time in between the two movies.
Could be, yeah. Or is it just that story is open to more interpretation and kind of leaves some wiggle room as far as how it's presented stylistically and contextually? You know, did that kind of help it along as opposed to the other films that have been kind of remakes of more recent animated films?
Such a good point. I can't remember. Did Tim Burton do Cinderella?
He did not. No.
He did not. Okay, good. I can still like it because I don't know if you've read the news lately, but there's been some allegations about Tim Burton that are not lovely.
I don't blame you for making that connection because Helena Bonham Carter was in Cinderella, and
maybe that's why, yeah.
Immediately you're like, oh yeah, they were married.
But I guess we can talk about him in terms of Alice in Wonderland, another live action remake.
Oh yeah, those did not land for me at all.
They were okay for me. They went a little too far, which is weird for me to say because I like it when things go very far. Visually, they were cool, but they didn't land as well as I wanted them to.
I know a lot of people in the Disney community, though, and a lot of our Tweedles really love those two Alice movies.
They're beautiful. That's absolutely true. And they did, here's what I will say. They did actually offer some new storyline to the Alice in Wonderland story as we know it within Disney.
Yeah.
they weren't just like a lift and land is what I mean, like the Lion King was. They were a refresh of the story.
Yeah, it was definitely through the eyes of Tim Burton. Yeah.
That's for sure. Yeah, that's for sure.
So we're conflicted on the remakes. I think I'm still eager. Every time one is announced, Patrick, I still get excited and I'm like, maybe this time will be a really successful reinterpretation, but we just have to wait and see, I guess.
We do. We have to wait and Under the Sea.
Little Mermaid. Are you nervous? Are you excited?
I'm all of it. I'm all of the things. But here's why I'm excited. I'm excited about the diversity of this cast. It's finally happening that we're getting a remake where they're like, you know what? Nobody has to be white. Not the entire cast doesn't have to be white. So that's exciting to see.
That will definitely be an exciting element to the movie. Will it be enough? Who can say?
Who can say? All right, Adam, we've come to the last topic in our little tea party here. Last pot, move down to the new theme. Category is pick a park and fix it according to what you'd like to see, or zhuzh it, I guess.
Just zhuzh that park a bit?
Yeah, add a little Adam magic to one of the Disney parks and give us something that you've been wanting from this park.
When I saw that this was added to the list of potential topics, I was a bit scared, and this question is the most difficult, I think, of all of them.
Uh-oh.
But I'm brave, Patrick. Did you know I'm brave?
I did know that you're brave. You're much like Merida. And that's why we exist here, Adam, to tackle the topics that make us scared.
I agree. And so, Patrick, I'm going to choose Hollywood Studios for the park that I would like to fix a bit.
Ooh, I like it. Tell me what you would do with Hollywood Studios.
There's a lot that's great about this park. In fact, a lot of people say, you know what my favorite park is? It's Hollywood Studios.
A lot of people say that. A lot of people do say that.
And recently, with the addition of Galaxy's Edge and Mickey and Minnie's Runaway Railway and Toy Story Land, it's really become a go-to park. In fact, it probably is the most attended park in the mornings for people eagerly trying to get on Rise of the Resistance.
What's got that newness factor to it right now?
It's got that fresh paint smell.
So fresh.
So fresh. But I think the area I'd like to focus on is the Sunset Boulevard area. Because it seems like it's a lot of shops and food stands, and then you get to the Fantasmic area, Tower of Terror, and Rock and Roller Coaster, and that's where the attractions kind of are.
Yeah, that whole street is a little bit of a ghost town right now.
So I would love to do something with that, and I'd love to add a couple of attractions. And what I'm thinking is, tell me if this is cray-cray.
It's cray-cray.
I haven't said anything yet, but I appreciate your enthusiasm. What if there was something more celebratory for Walt Disney, not just Walt Disney Presents or One Man's Dream or, whatever is currently in that space just off of Toy Story Land, but what if there was an actual ride-through attraction that was in like black and white and told the history of Walt Disney's life and kind of gave you a real perspective on the creativity and kind of genius it took to bring this world that he imagined together, and was more of an educational attraction that gave guests some perspective on how he has really influenced our culture.
I like this. I think that's a great place for it as well. Like a little history behind the evolution of these Disney brothers and the Disney Brothers Company, and then into the Disney Company, and then into the Walt Disney Company. I think that's a great idea.
Yeah, let's bring Roy into the mix too, because we know without him, there would be no Walt Disney Company at all. So I just want to learn more, or I want people to know more about what it took. And I'm talking about creativity. I'm talking about financially. I'm talking about artistically, the inspirational leaps it took to not only become a success in animation and a groundbreaker in animation, but then also to successfully pull off a more family-friendly theme park and films and things like that.
I'm totally behind that. I don't think there's enough representation, ironically, of Walt and Roy Disney within the parks.
It's like a better great movie ride just focusing on the Walt Disney Company.
I'm into it. Soarin' over Disney.
Soarin' over Disney. Why not? I love that. Yeah. And one idea that's already been proposed, not my idea, but one thing that's been talked about for so long, and I think should absolutely happen, is a re-theme of Rock and Roller Coaster to Monsters, Inc.
I think that would be super fun with all those doors hanging down and everything.
Flying through those doors, that's what I want to experience. It's already a blacklit ride, so I don't think it would be that hard to kind of turn it over into a Monsters-themed experience. Maybe it would be. I'm not an Imagineer, but I want to see that happen, and I would like to see that movie get a little bit more love in Walt Disney World.
I think that's a great idea. And the color scheme already for Monsters, Inc. is a little bit sort of luminescent or not neon, but you know what I mean? They would pop really well in a dark experience.
Yeah, it is artistically designed for a blacklit reality.
For sure. I like it.
So there's no theme that ties these two attractions together, but I just want to see more Walt Disney represented in the parks, and then I'd love to see a re-theme of Rock and Roller Coaster.
Both wonderful ideas. You fixed it. You have fixed Hollywood Studios.
I know I have. What about you? Tell me, what park are you picking, and how are you going to fix it?
I'm going to take a big swing at them, and I'm going to try to fix the Magic Kingdom within Walt Disney World.
Oh. What are we doing?
We're just going to tear it all down. No, I think Fantasyland needs some more love. I feel like there's a missed opportunity for it to be more romantic, sort of the way that Disneyland's Fantasyland area is a little bit more romantic and a little bit more paying homage to classic Disney.
Correct me if I'm wrong, but you're talking about removing the kind of medieval tent theme.
I don't know if it's removing that, but I think it just needs a little bit more cohesion throughout all of Fantasyland. I think it's random right now. It feels like to me. It's like we've got the Seven Dwarves Mine Train, we've got Beast Castle, and I guess Peter Pan's Flight that are sort of anchoring sort of Fantasyland, and then it's just like a mess in between of just random things. I mean, I love that Rapunzel's tower is there, but it's so random, and it's a bathroom. That's really weird to me. I don't understand what they're doing there. I just think it needs to focus itself. Fantasyland. There's just too much going on. There's too many castles represented. Maybe I don't know what it is, but it's not paying homage, I think, enough to Cinderella and the classics that I think it deserves.
So you want more cohesion in the theming of the land overall, in that way that kind of Frontierland has and Adventureland has a very consistent look to a complete walkthrough of the land. You want that kind of consistency carried through to Fantasyland?
I think so. I think I want Fantasyland to be the movies of the 1930s through the 1960s, maybe, like ending with Robin Hood, perhaps. I don't know. I think that if we move all of the more modern day princesses and Disney movies into Hollywood studios or somewhere else, and then keep Fantasyland as just those old school fairy tales that were within classic Disney, I think it would be more beautiful and romantic. Maybe I'm crazy here.
More of a vintage take on Fantasyland.
More of a vintage take on it, yeah.
I don't think that's a crazy idea. I think that's a great idea. I think we should be celebrating those classics, and there is a place for the newer films to be celebrated, but why not have an area, especially Fantasyland, right, which is like the kind of quintessential Disney land, so to speak. You know, we all grew up on those kind of princess films. Mm-hmm. Let's take those princess films, let's take Peter Pan, let's pack them into Fantasyland and have the focus be the very revered films in the Disney catalog.
Yeah, the movies that were using fantasy, right? Like Peter Pan, like Cinderella, like Snow White, with like the very deeply magical elements of Disney. Keep those movies there and move all the modern ones into a different area.
I love it. I'm on board.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. So I fixed it. I've fixed the Magic Kingdom.
Would you keep all the attractions that are there, or are there any that you would, nix?
I would get rid of Seven Dwarfs Mine Train. People are going to come at me. I don't know. It was not a successful ride for me. I think it needed to be different. I actually really love Snow White's Scary Adventure better than I do Seven Dwarfs Mine Train.
I agree. I agree with you, Patrick, and I say that to my own detriment, I think, but I don't think Seven Dwarfs Mine Train is as successful as it could be. Should it be a complete dark ride? I don't know what should be there, but yes, it's not like a must-do for me every time I'm in the park.
I frankly wouldn't mind if Fantasyland wasn't just dark rides and character experiences.
Which you alluded to earlier, like the more like Disneyland version of Fantasyland.
For sure, yeah. I think they just need to take a page out of Disneyland's book and put it into Disney World.
All right. I think it's very smart what you proposed, and the Disney company would be a fool not to listen to you.
They would be foolish mortals.
Well, what do you say, Patrick? Do we end on that note that you hate Seven Dwarfs Mine Train?
I think we must. I think we have to end it there. And I mean the entire production of Gaze Do the D.
He's packing his bags, folks. He's bought a plane ticket. He is completely disappearing. He's entered the Witness Protection Program.
The Tweedles are after me, and they're a vicious crew.
Well, speaking of the Tweedles, we would love to know what topics you'd like to cover in our next Tea Party. You can reach out to us on social media. That's Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter at GDTD Podcast.
Or send us your Tea Party topics via email or voice memo to info@gazetothed.com. Hey, Adam.
Hey, Patrick.
It's time for some quick D. It's time.
Keep going. I want more of a theme song to get us into Quick D.
That was it. That's the end of it. You finished it for me.
And then I'll say, and I killed Sparky too.
Oh, no. Oh, WandaVision.
Oh, I just love her. I just love that woman.
Yeah. Yeah, how can you not? But back to us, Adam. Back to us. It is indeed time for some Quick D. Those of you who are unaware of what Quick D is, boy, are you in for a treat, because this is where Adam and I ask each other a question we have not been privy to prior to recording, and we answer it off the gosh darn cuff.
Right off that gosh darn cuff. Yes.
Adam, are you ready for some Quick D? Are you ready for some Quick D?
I'm absolutely ready. I would like you to ask me your question first.
Oh, all right. I shall. I'm coming up with it as we speak. Here it comes out of my mouth. Adam, as we know from WandaVision, Agatha has been blamed for many things, and she has taken credit for many of them. Mm-hmm. What are some additional things that it was Agatha all along for?
Oh, this is a great question for you to come right up with. It's almost like Agatha did some kind of mind control on you and forced you to come up with this question.
That's the first thing. We have Agatha to blame for me. You know?
Yeah, just Patrick, and then there's a period after that. Just Patrick.
And I'm responsible for Patrick too. It was Agatha all along.
Yeah. Agatha also brought about, COVID, right?
Yeah. Yeah, she's the COVID queen.
Because she got us to stay in our houses and really drive up the ratings for WandaVision on Disney+.
This is absolutely accurate. Absolutely accurate. She needed a captive audience, and boy, did she get one. She went a little too far, but she got one.
I think she's also responsible for Zubas.
To that, I say thank you. Zubas were very comfortable.
Did they ever make a comeback? Or they did, kind of, just like for a moment, right? There was like, should we re-explore? Should we re-entertain Zubas?
Yeah, there was like an actual second when Zubas came back, and then it just went away again.
Just exploring all of 90s culture, and then they were like, no, it's too much.
Mm-hmm. It was too much. They were very loud.
Although in quarantine at home, Zubas, that's kind of the way to go. So comfortable.
I'm basically only wearing Zubas, or my version of Zubas.
Which is naked from the waist down.
Which is just paint, body paint. Yeah.
Every morning you make Dan wake up and body paint your lower half.
I'm going for a sunset with butterflies. Can you do that?
Yeah. Okay, so we have COVID. We have Zubas. I'm also going to say broccoli.
Oh, Agatha did broccoli, huh?
And specifically the frozen broccoli, the really kind of mushy, very tasteless broccoli.
Yeah, frozen broccoli. Boy, what a mistake. I mean, especially when you get the ones that are not the broccoli florets and they're just the broccoli butts. You know what I mean? That was Agatha all along.
She introduced broccoli butts to the world.
Those do nothing for anyone. Who likes those?
She's so cruel, that Agatha. All right, Patrick, here is your question from me. We learned this very morning, as of this recording session, that Walt Disney World is going to be imposing stricter face mask restrictions in that they're now going to require diners in restaurants to wear their face masks while they're not eating. So while you're seated at a table, you still have to have your face mask on if you're not currently shoveling food into your mouth. Got it?
Got it.
I want to know, Patrick, if you were in control, if you were the Agatha of this situation, so to speak, what would you impose stricter regulations on in the parks? And it can be anything, and it doesn't need to be COVID related. What do you want to see or not see from guests in Disney parks?
Such a good question. It was Patrick all a long time, isn't it?
And I closed Great Movie Ride too.
Yep. That was Patrick all along. That's for sure. Agatha created it. Patrick shut it down. Oh dear. Okay. Well, first of all, I'm gonna go ahead and implement a rule that says, and this is for everyone's safety, really, if you are a hot dad with a baby, you must wear shorts that are at most a 5-inch inseam.
Okay, that is restrictive.
Restrictive yet liberating.
I mean, show off those gams, guys.
Yeah, we want to see them. We want to see those dad butts. Again, that's just simply a safety protocol.
Sure. Longer hemlines would cause friction and possible fires.
Possible fires. Indeed. Only you can prevent fires. Dads, only you can prevent fires.
Wear those short shorts. They're also more flattering, just overall. Let's just get that out there.
They are also more flattering. I'm going to go ahead and say if you are perceived to be a sullen teenager, not only must you wear your mask the entire time, also no talking. No talking in the parks.
I love it. This is a great new restriction.
Yeah, especially in queues for rides. Just no speaking, teenagers. If you look like you're going to be a problem to my ears, we're shutting it down.
Specifically you, so in your vicinity.
I'll be there. If you need someone to help you out in the parks, Patrick will be there. For sure. For sure. And again, this is just for everyone's safety. No talking, teenagers.
Absolutely. I understand. Excellent restriction.
Thank you so much. I'm going to go ahead and increase the amount of peanut butter chocolate crispy treats that are available within the parks, again, for safety. Because if I'm not within 10 feet of one, I go a little crazy.
So you're restricting the restriction of the treats.
That's correct. If you sell anything at all, you also have to sell peanut butter chocolate Rice Krispie treats.
Okay, wow, that's a lot of treats.
For safety.
For safety, yes. That will do it for this episode of Gays Do the D. Thanks for listening. To become a patron of the podcast, visit our website at gaysdothed.com/donate. For a donation of any amount, you can receive exclusive Gays Do the D content and help us continue to bring you the very best Disney news and discussion. Continue the conversation after this episode on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter at GDTD Podcast, and submit your questions or show ideas to info@gaysdothed.com. Have a great week, everybody. See you real soon.